This should be fun. I hope it doesn't suck. Alright, I just sort of threw this together, kind of early, started doing it on a whim one day, with the intention of doing it a little bit at a time, over a long period of time. Without much planning in advance, I was just kind of going to do the route that I used in RTA, just with Taz execution. Yeah, it's a complete Taz, showing it off now. There are some differences, obviously. There's some things that aren't viable for a human that are worthwhile in a Taz. And there's lots of small mistakes and a couple big mistakes. I might point some of them out, but I might not, so that the untrained viewer might not see them. So there's no point in being too self-critical. It is the first full Taz that I did. I'm happy that I completed it, but I think it's pretty mediocre overall. But it's still cool. So there's a couple teleports here, which save a little bit of time. Without boots, these kind of teleports are pretty worthwhile. That's obviously not viable in real time. Lots of small changes like that I added in for the Taz that you would never even think of doing real time. And a few pretty big route changes that involved clipping that are faster for a Taz because the clips are frame perfect. So I got the bombs a minute ago. When you get the sword, they auto-equip. Otherwise, they don't automatically equip, and you'd have to view your menu to equip them. Which is what I did in real time, because I did a different clip to get out of escape that required you to bomb some grass in order for the clip to work. Alright. Don't know exactly what to talk about. I didn't have to worry about manipulating RNG for a while. All the way up to this point, it was all perfect on its own, so that was nice. In here, you'll see I wiggle around a little bit, which you wouldn't do in real time because of the anti-pumps, but when you're Tazzing, you can make sure that you don't actually lose pixels with anti-pumps, so it's totally okay. I got the bombs so that I could get the rupees and escape, so that I could get the flippers early, so that I could get the hook shot early. I actually did this route originally on US version, so and since most of the routing is the same as my RTA route, there's some things that are different than they might have been if I had routed this originally on 1.0. Oh yeah, I killed that guy like that, like you wouldn't 100%. Not because I was skipping the boomerang, but because it doesn't auto-equip. So it wouldn't be worthwhile to change to it, because then I'd have to change back to bombs later. This kill's not particularly interesting, or fancy really. Just a lot of pokes for first frame hits, and then knocked him into the door. Pretty straightforward. Nothing interesting going on for a little while here. Not until, well, not really until the sewers does it really get interesting and worth talking about. I did get a quick turn in this room, but with perfect pumping, it's really easy to just slide past them. No worries there. The only RNG that I really almost had to manipulate up to this point was in this room here, because I almost was unable to get past these two guys when they sandwiched me there. It was actually extremely tight. But with pumping in the door, to save some time, it was actually possible. The first difficult RNG manipulation was the snake room, because you have 6 snakes in there, and you need to make sure all of them move the correct way as soon as you get into the room, which means that you have to go back into the previous room and make some small changes to your movement to manipulate the RNG until they're all perfect on the first try, or when you first enter the room. So that was fun. Most of the RNG manipulation is surprisingly easy, but this room was the first one that gave me a lot of trouble, just so that I could walk through the top. That chest turn was unnecessary. I'm totally of the anti-chest turn mindset. Like, I don't believe in chest turns for swag. So I actually didn't do chest turns in a lot of places where they don't technically save time. I wasn't really sure what to do in this room, so I just kind of got that RNG and hit him to the right to knock the key closer to the door. I should have been manipulating more rupee drops from the start. Like, I do a couple in this room. Get a couple blue drops there. Technically, it didn't lose any time to kill those guys because I set the bomb and then killed both of them while the bomb was counting down. And any actions you do while the bomb's counting down are free, basically. Oh yeah, that's why I got the bombs. That room. Alright, my goal in real time was to try to get a sub 8-minute escape. Obviously with select buffered clips, there's some big time losses there. The best I ever did was like 8:30. But I also play like crap. Now I skipped the Sanctuary Heart because for a Taz, like, it's obvious, like, you don't need to worry about having hearts for safety, but there were several times throughout this run that I wish that I did get it for damage boosts and stuff. And I'll mention those when the times come. As I mentioned, I didn't plan this out terribly well in advance. I just sort of started doing it on a whim, so there were some things that I'd wished I'd done differently. Not too significant. Basically, all I had to do was manipulate a heart from a prize pack drop or something at the worst in order to do some more damage boosts. So I learned something about the movement with the old man when I did this. Turns out you get your movement is slowed down, and when you walk along the edge of a hole, you actually restore your normal movement speed, like you do when you're carrying in an object, like in the beetle room. That's like the only time when that really comes up. I didn't know that until I did this test. I didn't know that happened with the old man too. Doesn't really matter much because walking along the edge of the hole is optimal movement anyway, so it's not like it would change anything in gameplay. The boulders were kind of annoying, but it wasn't too hard to get them to stay out of my way. The first squirrel was tough, but the boulders for the most part weren't. I'm sure I got lucky in a lot of the situations with the RNG. Perfect Kiki skip. Looks pretty funny. Alright, when we're in a cave, or when the game still thinks we're in a cave and we clip into a dungeon, we have basically infinite keys, so it's worthwhile to unlock that door before reloading the dungeon. We only really need the hammer from this dungeon. You don't reload the dungeon only if you intend to complete it, but I reload it so that I can use the mirror to warp back to the beginning of it after I get the hammer, because walking all the way back to the beginning would be really slow. Plus, partially completing the dungeon is fine because we are going to have to come back later to kill the boss, so getting the big key and etc. is worthwhile. It's crazy how early you can set that bomb with perfect pumping. first menu. That's still memorable, the first menu of the whole thing. Alright. We're gonna do the fancy bomb jump here because why not? You know, if you're doing a Taz, you might as well do the fancy bomb jump. There would have been more hovers, of course, if I had boots, but you don't get boots for a long time in this run, so there's not much of those. Alright, and that's all we're doing here. I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of low heart beeping in the early parts of this run, so I'm going to apologize for that. We need the bow from Eastern Palace, and we're also going to collect enough rupees here to get the flippers, and then just leave. The cannonballs were surprisingly friendly when I was trying to manipulate them. I've heard that it's pretty tough to get like perfect cannonballs, and since I had to come through them 4 times in the whole run, I was really worried about them being very difficult, but they were pretty friendly overall. Alright, I'm going to manipulate a heart later in this dungeon. In order to do that, I needed to force a drop from both of these guys, so the next drop is a heart. That's pretty simple. I'm also going to manipulate an arrow drop because I figured that would probably be worthwhile, just because, you know, having more arrows is nice. And it didn't like waste almost any time. It was like a few frames extra to get them. But then I ended up picking up an extra arrow pack when I had 29 later, so it was basically unnecessary. I'll get the heart in this room, so the beeping will stop. I know you can do the big T skip up here and only take half a heart of damage, but I think that has something to do with frame roll, and I was unable to do it. So I needed that heart so that I could do this without dying. And then the last thing, this is where I get the arrow drop actually. Force it from this guy. And it was just unnecessary. These rupees actually have extremely unusual like mechanics. Like if you walk straight up into one of them from below, like you can't collect it unless you walk diagonal or something into it. Also, those warps don't take you back if you're carrying an object, so that's why I picked up the bomb there, so that I could walk over it without having to get warped back. Do another couple teleports here. This one to skip the ladder, which definitely saves time. I'm going to prep this one here, clip into the wall, and then delay it so I can teleport there, and skip having to jump off the ledge, which is like 20 frames or something. So that was another time saver. There's also some really weird mechanics with walking in water. I'm going to walk in a straight line here, but I'm actually pumping to the right while walking north, even though he walks in a normal movement pattern north. It's kind of unusual. You don't need many drops. I think you only needed 10 if you get every blue rupee from that room. But I just manipulated any drop that wasn't very time consuming, that was either free or that only costed a few frames, in order to have to pick up less in that room. If I planned it more ahead, I probably could have got a lot more from Escape. But like the RTA route, the route that I did actual runs of, you only need like 10 from drops. So it's not bad at all. Alright, we're going to use EG for the first time here. EG is necessary for this run to be possible, so you'll see it only a couple times because it doesn't really, it's not very beneficial very often. I delayed getting the Moon Pearl for a long time actually. So it's important that if we're doing anything in Dark World dungeons that we stay in the fake Dark World. The entire time I was in Palace of Darkness it was fake Dark World. And we're going to clip from here to Thieves Town to stay in fake Dark World, so we don't get bunnied. And this is so we can get the Titan Mitts. And we're going to get a couple things from town, whatever's not too far out of the way. And then we're going to make a second pass through town later to get the rest of the stuff. It actually was a tiny bit faster to pump to the wall there, and then pump back to the door. Oh, this is a cool clip right here. This is found by Evil Ash. Using a bomb to clip through that rail in order to get into the EG layer. And then jump to the key. That's really cool. That bomb clip would be used in a real-time route, but you wouldn't throw the bomb. You just walk over and set it so that you can make sure it's on the right pixel. Same with like the hammer jump. You would never throw the bomb in the hammer jump. No matter how good you think you are, it's just not practical. Here was almost... Oh, actually, I manipulate that magic drop. That's half of the magic route right there. We're going to get one other magic drop, and that's going to be it for the whole run. It was almost faster to zigzag between those torches in that long room, but... or almost same frames, rather. It was a few frames slower, though, so I had to go along the right side the whole time. It was a few frames faster to pump along the wall. I actually got good RNG early in the Hellway, so I could just walk straight up the middle. So it gave me a good benchmark to compare, and it ended up being faster to pump to the wall and get like 3 or 4 pumps along the wall. Lots of small stuff like that you would never do in real time. It's kind of funny, but ends up being effective for a Taz. I will get one heart drop later in this dungeon so that I can do a damage boost afterwards. Another bomb jump, in fact. But until then, you get to experience the wonderful rhythmic low heart beeping. Managed to kill 2 of these guys with 1 bomb right there. That was very nice. That took a long time to get them to walk in the exact right way. Also, this guy's movement, it's established the first time you come through that room, and then he stays in the same place the second time you come through. And I didn't really think about that the first time I came through there, and he gave bad RNG where I couldn't get past him, and I had to backtrack all the way to like the stairs where he moved downstairs originally on this floor to just to change that one room. I had to redo like a whole bunch of stuff. It's cool though. I learned a lot doing this. Look at the heart in this room. Alright, we're gonna trigger this boss fight and then leave. So when we come back, all we have to do is come straight to the boss room and then kill him. Alright. We need to buy potions for YBAs. We need to do a YBA to get to Ganon, which means that we need to get a bottle anyway and visit the potion shop. So it ends up being practical to grab a couple extra bottles and do a couple extra YBAs. So we'll grab 1 bottle now and 1 set of rupees, and then the second time that we come through town, we'll get the other bottle and the other set of rupees, and that'll be all the rest of the rupees we need. Alright, this is my favorite part of the whole thing coming up. We're going to do EG again from here. We're going to take this to Misery Mire, but we're going to clip from Mire to Hera to Swamp like in all dungeons, but we're going to stay in a cave the whole time, which means we have unlimited keys, so we can basically visit those dungeons and take care of a whole lot of business preemptively, so that when we go back through the second time to kill the bosses, it's all basically done. This bomb jump is really cool. This wouldn't be practical, I think, if you have boots, because it delays your dash. But I think in this category, even in real time, that bomb jump would be worthwhile. But I don't think for any other category it would be. It can be done that fast with a Taz, because I can just enter the inputs frame by frame. All clips are going to be done lightning fast for that reason. We could grab that magic, but we don't need it, so we don't. This clip right here, you'll see it's been super fast as well. This takes us to the fairy room in Tower of Hera, and then we can warp back up to the top of the dungeon. I delayed getting the Moon Pearl. Like, I didn't go into Hera to get the Moon Pearl normally. When I was routing this, I really wanted to get it here. Keep in mind, since we're still in the cave, we still have unlimited keys, so we can open up all the big chests. And also take care of this while we're here, which is just to open this big key door. That way when we come back through Hera to kill Moldorm, we don't have to worry about doing the tile room, getting the big key, or getting the other key. We can just go straight to the boss. And then this is the last clip here. I found it to be a little faster to hammer that peg before pushing the switch. I think if you hit the if you hammer the peg while the water's filling up, it increases lag frames, so it slows it down by a handful of frames. So hitting that first was a little bit faster. So I can get the hookshot here, and again, because we have basically unlimited keys, I can open this door before I leave, and then when we come back we can skip one of the small keys, which is nice. Alright, now I'm going to get the flute and make the last pass through town, and just a little more collecting, and then we can actually start killing bosses. That's one of the least appealing things about this category as a real-time speedrun, is how much time is spent just collecting crap before you can actually start killing bosses. Obviously it's sped up a lot for a Taz. Frame perfect pumping saves a lot of time. You know, it makes walking a lot less painful. And of course clips being done instantly fast is a big time saver too. In real time when I did this, I brought out the hookshot during this part to hookshot bushes and trees and stuff. I'm pretty sure it didn't save time. I never actually timed it before. When I did this, I timed it, and it definitely lost a lot of time because the menu was not worth it. But I still think it was fun to do in real time. It at least made the walking a little less boring. That was pretty much the most interesting movement mechanic of the whole run up to that point, was just hookshotting trees. Alright, so this mirror you do when you come back out, and you mirror in the doorway, so you get auto-walked into the house. I didn't think that technically saved time. Aside from human error frames, if you warp back and you just mash Y, there's probably going to be a couple frames that you lose there, same as after dungeons and stuff. So if you hold the directional input and then just press Y during, then you don't have any frames where you're not moving or doing anything else. But if you use the mirror on the lowest frame here, the amount of time it takes for the game to walk you into the house is always the same. And when you walk out of an interior location on this underworld map, it always puts you in the same coordinate position that you walked in on. So it's the same amount of time to get into the house, and you save time from having to walk up a couple pixels and walk down a couple pixels when you come out. So it actually is a small time saver in real time if you warp low. You'd have to warp on the highest pixel possible to not save time, in fact. So that's kind of neat. Alright, we're almost done collecting stuff, I promise. We do need the fire rod. When I was doing this and doing the real-time route, I figured that any items that we need to collect before boots, we might as well collect before Ganon. So things like the fire rod and the hook shot that we would need for Aghanim 2 and Trinex anyway, there'd be no point in really putting that off. And we might as well just get it before Ganon. And then those would make the Ganon fight easier for real time. So I pretty much went with the same route, even though we don't use those things on Ganon because they're not necessary. This right here is the rest of our magic route, that drop. One of those vials is enough to fight Ganon with the lantern, but we needed to use the cane there, so we needed a second vial so that we didn't run out at Ganon. That cane strat is actually probably my favorite strat in the whole run in real time. You get to skip that statue room, which is really nice. There's actually like an absurd amount of time to position yourself for this bomb jump, so I did a loop-de-loop, because why not? It's actually crazy how much time you have to do stuff when you're using frame advance compared to real time. Like that bomb jump, it feels like you have no time at all to position yourself, but you can set the bomb first frame and have like half a second to do whatever you want. Alright, these potions. The red potion gets us into the Ganon fight, and the green potion saves a little time. Actually, the green potion saves a lot of time in Ganon's tower. Alright. I actually make a pretty big mistake on Ganon, which I didn't notice when I was doing it. I didn't notice it until afterwards, and then I didn't realize exactly what had gone wrong. Like, I noticed that something wasn't right, but I couldn't quite identify what the problem was at first, and then I realized it. So see if you can identify the problem. Hey, what's up, Mike? Yeah, there's a few other places where I set the bomb like first frame when I walk into the room, and then can just do other stuff while the bomb's detonating and still get wherever I need to be in time. Alright, so I was actually able to hit him 3 times and get the trident spin from the left, which is like impossible. Okay, first I missed this slash, but it doesn't matter because the 1-1 is still a 1-1 either way. I still had enough time to slash him another time. Just did some swaggy stuff here, like walking through the ring there. I didn't manipulate warp position at all, except for one when he went to the top right and I couldn't get to him. Other than that, I just did 0 warps, or whatever. I hover here. A little bootless hovering. It's a little swag. I recommend doing that in real time too. Just because it's scary. I learned about cape spins when doing this. Yeah, I'm sure we've all made a lot of the same observations in our novice Tazzing experiences. Some of the movement in this fight is so awkward. It's so weird because it's like when I'm doing it with frame advance, it doesn't feel so awkward, but it looks so weird when you watch it. Like it's so different than how you would do it in real time. Alright, if you notice there, I got 2 hits before the torch glitch, and then all triples. But then after the last lighting of the torch, I had to hit him twice, and that's not how it should have been. I should have only had to hit him once. I didn't notice that. Then one time when I was watching it, I saw that, and I was like, wait a minute, why did that happen? Ash apparently saw it. Turns out one of the spins didn't hurt him. I think it was, or I guess it was the first spin after the third phase. I spun too early, so it didn't hurt him at all. Yeah, exactly. It was too early. It's okay though. There's a lot of small mistakes like that. I guess that's actually probably one of the bigger mistakes. Not too bad though. Alright, now we're gonna go straight to Aghanim. Dude, conveyor mechanics are like totally whack. Conveyor, ice, and swimming were like the biggest things that like I had to take a long time to experiment with to find the best way to move on them. Alright, this is one of the places where I wish I got the Sanctuary Heart. I wanted to do a bomb jump here to save a menu, because I'm going to switch back to bombs later, but I was unable to because I didn't have enough hearts, so that's too bad. Oh yeah, you know what, I didn't even think about that. About changing his first warp in the first/second phase or whatever. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, see, there's so many problems. Overall, I would judge this as like a mediocre Taz, but I'm still happy that I completed it. I mentioned this earlier. I manipulated an arrow drop and then picked that one up, even though I already had 29. So like the arrow drop that I got earlier was like totally unnecessary. Okay, don't blink during this fight, or you'll miss it. This was really fun to do, actually. This is my favorite thing to Taz of the whole run. So silly. Okay, I did need these bombs. I should have paid more attention to, or I should have planned out the bomb and arrow route more in advance, but I didn't. So, I ended up needing those. I probably could have managed to skip those if I planned it a little bit better. Thanks, Josh. I did get a couple arrow drops. I got one from that guy, and I do get one from a mimic in the spike pit. So that pretty much covers me for most of the rest of the run. Also, I wanted to do a damage boost here, but I couldn't. Again, I should have got the Sanctuary Heart. Although, if I saved and quit, I would have only had 3 hearts anyway, so I would have needed to get another heart somewhere anyway. Maybe. But who knows. I wanted to do a damage boost there and still be able to do this bomb jump. And this is so that I can do a YBA. Luckily, the green YBA gives you a full health and magic, because after this YBA you land on a spike, which would have killed me otherwise. Now this room I didn't really know how to do, so I just sort of bounced around a little bit and slashed those guys. It's really awkward because you lose momentum a lot on the ice. Like, a damage boost off the spikes seemed practical, but then you lose your momentum. Doing some weird pumping things seemed okay, but then you lose your momentum. But when you slash those guys and knock yourself back, you slide across the ice well. Which is cool. Seemed best to me at the time. For this I just went for a 2-cycle. I didn't try to manipulate the warps too much. I just made sure that they were relatively short for the real Aghanim. And then get a 2-cycle. And then I went out of bounds, because why not? Those are the only north walls that you can clip through, as far as I know. Otherwise, all north walls are boring. Alright. So after Trinex, which is coming up next, I need to collect a few more items, and then after that it's just, thanks Prismix. Don't need luck because this is all already done. I'm not even playing, just watching. Oh, I did some clips here to the ice rod. These were kind of neat. It's kind of like the Gannis Tower clip, where you wrap to the top of the screen, and then I did an off-screen clip to get into the cave. Saved me a bomb, and a menu, technically, so that's nice. Oh, this, the Turtle Rock climb, this clip up here. I tried to figure this out bootless before when I was optimizing the mirror shield route, but I couldn't figure it out. But when I worked on this, I spent some time on it, and I was actually able to figure out how to do it bootless, which is nice. Apparently the teleport is a little bit different if you're facing up or down compared to left or right. I never knew that. So you have to be facing up when you get to the pixel, and you also have to do some weird wiggling to get deeper after you do the climb to get on the 9th pixel, and it's kind of awkward, but I'm happy to figure that out. Had mixed feelings about that bomb jump. It was really hard to get around the beetle to get to the chest and then get around him on the way out because he camps that intersection. So the bomb jump got you closer to the chest and got him out of the way at the same time. So I mean, whether it's worth it or not, it was cool. So that's good. And then I had to get a hard drop. Otherwise, this fire bar would have killed me. So something kind of convenient happened here. I actually run out of bombs here, and I'll just switch to the fire rod. And then use the fire rod later. So that's nice. Oh yeah, that's for drops. I should have manipulated 3 drops from him instead of 2. I didn't even notice that I only did 2. But that's so that I can actually get the 8 drop from the Pokey with the key, and that's basically the entire bomb route for the rest of the run, is an 8 bomb drop. But I think if I got the rupee drop from that one, it would have lagged less on this coming up room. So this is where I'm going to use the fire rod. I'm going to kill that skull so that I can get past the bunny beam without getting bodied and wrecked in the face. Who knows if it was worthwhile? I think it was. Sometimes you just gotta do what. Okay, I'm streaming at 30 frames per second, so you may not have even seen where Link turned around at that rail, but there was a small rail clip there, which saved like 1 frame. Totally not noticeable, but if you watch it frame by frame, you'll see he clips into the rail and then pushes against it to get boosted outward, or out of the rail, northward. Turns out you can actually get behind him without boots. I think even without pumping you probably could, it would just be really tight. I hit him 4 times there before throwing the fire rod the second time, and I don't think I should have. I think I should have just hit him 3 times, but whatever. I don't think it would have made a difference. I think I would have still had to throw the fire rod an additional time and slash him 1 time. Alright, now that we killed Trinex, we can get the Eastern Pendant. We can dupe it from the dead Trinex room. And then collect the last few things that we need to do. And then it's just a straight boss rush from here. I will say, text advancing is the most tedious thing. Like he hit it? Like he hurt it, you mean? Shouldn't have. It's possible to hurt it with the ice rod, but only after it's frozen. Like the fire rod takes damage from the ice rod if it's already frozen, and the ice head takes damage from the fire rod always, even if it's not already thawed. I think that's right. But that shouldn't have happened there, if that's what you mean. Alright, we need 2 more potions. Well, we don't need them, but they are time savers since we have bottles anyway. For YBAs. And there may have actually been a significant time saver here that I didn't think about. Oh yeah. Yeah, I timed it like right on the edge of when it was doable. I wouldn't have done that clip in real time, obviously, because I'm very slow at clipping. But with the Taz, that clip is actually like probably faster than even doing it with dash buffering if you have to slash your sword. Alright, so this is the way I did this in real time. But after I did this, I thought that there was probably a much better way to do this, which I may have thought of before but not done just because I'm not good at it, and it would have actually been slower for me in real time but faster for a Taz. And I was standing here after I threw this bomb. I was watching this once, and I'm standing right next to these stairs, which you can clip through to get into EG, you know. And probably can there, and probably would have saved a lot of time on this split, or on this segment, but that's okay. That's honestly, if that's the case, if that would have worked, which I'm pretty sure it would have, that's probably the biggest mistake of this entire thing. That's okay. This is the last and the longest use of the exploration glitch in this run, to get the Eastern Pendant. We get this so that we can get boots, so that we can get the Book of Medora, so that we can get Ether, so that we can get into Misery Mire. And that's the last collecting. And then it's downhill from there. We run fake Dark World there, because we EG'd in from a Light World dungeon. Also, the flute menu is like the most responsive menu of the whole game. It's my favorite menu to use. Alright, here we go to get the boots. There's going to be a couple teleports here. That one skips the ladder. And then another one to skip the jumping off the ledge. A handful of frames each. Pretty much the same as when we went to get the flippers. Get the book. I don't like. I actually really preferred working without boots compared to working with boots. Dashing precisely is like, and like optimizing it is like really weird because of the there's the 4 pixel movement, and then there's like you move one frame, the first frame that you're holding A. So like you offset yourself. Sometimes it's better to walk away from your destination for 1 frame before charging the dash, in order for the interval to line up better to save like 2 frames of walking after you stop the dash. It's weird. There's a little bit of air pumping in super speed. It's kind of weird how it works. It's different from air pumping when walking. I dash to the left there to manipulate the camera position so that I can dash into the bird without him missing me. I'll do that a couple times. Oh yeah, and picking up both rocks there, that's a homage to ACM's Unfinished Taz, where he did the same thing. And the logic behind it is because why not? Because you have enough time to. So that's pretty much the only reason I did that, was just like a shout out to ACM. Alright, the first of the last 2 YBAs is going to happen in this dungeon here. Oh, here's really inconveniently placed RNG manipulation, or prize pack manipulation there. I'll explain that in a minute. This room you can actually do the fast way with only sword beams. which is nice. Don't have to either do it slower or switch items, because we don't actually need the fire rod at all. The reason why I did that is so that I can take damage there, because you need to be missing a heart to do the YBA, and then manipulate a heart drop later so that I can take 3 hearts of damage on Vitreous and do that fight optimally. So that's kind of unfortunate that that was necessary. Yeah, it was really weird. Walking, I mean, it's time consuming to do optimal walking movement, because you have to constantly be like checking the coordinate positions of corners, and like I would have like a whole lot of notes from like just random rooms. You know, optimizing, you know, you need to know when to start pumping, when to stop pumping, when to turn. And then there's like 2 frames of delay, even when you're using frame advance, that you have to account for. So that's kind of annoying. That makes everything harder. This is where I get the heart. Probably could have got it in the dark room with the bomb wall. I actually found that bonk to be a little bit faster if you don't use the cane at all, because you can walk farther left, I guess. I don't know. And of course, sword beam is nice in this dungeon. You can hit that switch, and then you can hit this switch and dodge the bunny beam. I didn't really do anything fancy on the Vitreous fight. I know you can kill like all the little eyes with 3 spins, but I didn't really worry about that. I think the big eye still spawns at the same time. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but I don't know if you actually save much time by killing them faster, if it's still a 0 lightning. Either way. A little lazy on this fight, I guess. It was just a very generic, clean fight, I guess. And that's the last time I'm going to use arrows for a very long time. Oh, actually, I want to talk about swimming during this cutscene. So I'm going to Ice Palace next. I'm going to swim to it from I flew to 8 and then swim to it. It took me a long time to figure out like the best things you can do in swimming, but there's ways to like manipulate your momentum so that you can keep like the fastest movement speed indefinitely, which you would normally get. Like normally you get like 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 2, but you can keep 2 2 2 every frame. So we'll see that in a minute. I wanted to kind of explain that first because it's going to look pretty crazy. It takes a second to gather momentum, but then when you do, it's just like lightning fast. It's so crazy how fast you can actually go there. Feels like RNG. That's interesting. I didn't look into it much, so maybe it is. Of course, I had to do this damage boost. I try to do that in practice too when I'm practicing for RTA, but you'll regret that if it doesn't work. Do a little zip along the wall here with conveyor mechanics are kind of awkward. Obviously hovers here, save a little bit of time. And so does the hook shot, actually. You actually have to hover to clip through that the skull pot a little bit in order to hook shot the bottom pot before or otherwise it'll get stuck on the first pot. You can take no damage there, which is nice. And this room is just stupid. I hate it. I just did it a whole bunch of times and just made a benchmark of the fastest time and just tried to beat that. If I could save 1 or 2 frames, then I just overwrote the previous save state until I got it the fastest I could do, and then I just moved on. I used the hookshot a couple more times in this dungeon just to save a few frames here or there. Like here, since I don't actually need the both of the magic pots, it actually ended up being a little faster to push that from the side and then hook the thing. Also, because I have full hearts, I can use sword beam strats on Gold Stair, which is nice. Never see those. To break the ice, and that way I save magic, which saves a little time on the magic refill. They separated there, which I know doesn't look clean. And Mike, actually, I'm glad you're here, since you know a lot about the this fight. I think as long as they're exploding is synchronized, it doesn't actually add to the lag, right? And doesn't add to the amount of time that the fight takes. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And even though they separated, they all died on the same frame. So it shouldn't have changed the timing. And then we save a couple frames on the magic refill. Who knows if that was actually worth it. But that's just not something that you ever get to see. So that's why I wanted to include that. Since I had full hearts anyway, might as well use beams to melt ice. Alright, what's next? Oh, right, blind. Blind the thief. This is probably the easiest dungeon, I guess. The most completed, I think, already. Basically just go straight to the boss and don't have to do anything else along the way. Yeah, it probably was. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I think that's more important, is just that their explosions are synchronized. And that their deaths are simultaneous, not necessarily that they're on top of each other. To where their explosions are like covering each other. Reducing lag on this screen was like really time-consuming process to try to optimize that. Just had to try it a whole bunch of different ways until it worked. Oh, also the first phase kill here, it seemed like I had to delay the 3 hits for the first phase. If I hit him 3 times on the first frame, it was possible. It just didn't kill him, and I had to hit him a fourth time. But if I delayed the hits, then it worked on 3 hits. So I just tried to find the earliest that I could hit him 3 times. And then dashing up and hitting him with the sword directly. If it was a beam thing, then dashing up and hitting him with the sword directly was slower anyway. So that's kind of weird, but that seemed to be the best. Beam on cold, you hit him twice with the fire rod, and then you hit him with the sword beam. I think both, you need to have 2, like, fire effects on his ice at the same time when the beam hits him, and then it takes an extra hit of damage from him. Normally you have to delay the fire rod every 2 hits anyway. Like if you fire twice, then you have to twice like frame perfect. Then the third one you have to delay before you can hit him again. So using the beam there didn't seem to be any slower than using just the fire rod for that reason. But who knows? Mostly just did it because it looks cool. And I got dashing there to be a little bit faster compared to walking. Pumping doesn't make any difference there. So for a Taz that didn't save time. But in real time I always heard that walking was faster, but I'm not sure. It's hard to say. But that's just what I got to be faster when I tested it. Oh yeah, and hovering there was faster, of course. It looks really slow, but manages to be a little faster. Yeah, I saw that. You could kill him like in his little house thing. Oh yeah, with beam there, I couldn't do normal hits into the spike, so I had to slash down and poke him into it, and then dash for a couple frames to keep the sword out, and then poke him a second time into the spikes. It ended up being pretty effective. I was worried that was going to be really bad because the slashes would not hurt him, or wouldn't hit him into the spikes because he kept absorbing the beam. But it ended up being pretty clean, so that's cool. And then of course Moth was just poke dashes. I don't know if that's the fastest way you can kill Moth, but it's so cool. Maybe. I could look into that. I've always been looking into weird ways to fight Trinex, but I never found anything that was worth sharing. I doubt it. It's like a frames difference usually. It would look cool though. It'd be it'd be swaggy if you did it. But I don't think it would save time. Yeah, 30 Hertz hovers is very fast. What's next? Argus? Oh yeah, there's some more funny water mechanics. Also, I dashed to the left there for one frame to fix the camera so that I could dash completely into the bird. I actually wonder if you were fast, if clipping there would actually be faster in real time. I think it would be, if you could clip there quickly. I think in real time it would be faster than coming around and hammering the peg, but who knows. Oh, you can walk a little higher here for the quick warp and still be able to get out and get the quick warp on the way out. But like the warp took like 7 or 8 frames longer when I did that. I went like 1 pixel higher and got like a slower warp. I'm not sure what was up with that. So I just went with the faster one, even though it technically wasn't as high as it could be, so it doesn't look quite optimal. Could have been a lag thing, depending on what's loaded on screen at the time, but I'm not sure. Some more momentum, funny momentum with swimming on diagonals. Okay, so I actually hammer dashed here at first, and then when I went back and watched my real-time video, I switched to the hookshot in this room, and then remembered that you don't actually need the hammer at all in the dungeon when you go through in this run. So I had to go all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon after being almost done and redo the whole thing just to save that menu, which is kind of too bad. Also, perfect pumping is as strong as hookshot movement. It's actually frame perfect air pumping in water. You can't do it in real time or you'll change direction. But you can actually maintain momentum in a strange way with frame perfect pumping without changing direction. That's how it works. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, I just tried random stuff, like for a couple hours until something saved time, basically. Here I do something similar. I'm actually pumping downward. It's not quite as fancy. He just looks kind of spastic, but it did gain a little bit of time there. This is kind of just a boring zero cycle. I don't even know how to do this in real time, so it was really awkward to do this, though, with frame advance. Like, it was extremely awkward, but it worked, so whatever. And then, of course, I used the ice rod because I had to make it interesting in some way. That does actually lose a little bit of time because you have to, well, it fires slower and it's 1 extra move in the menu on the way out of Swamp. So it's 2 frames in the menu or whatever. Still, it's swag, why not? When I did this, when I did RTA of this category, I actually just fluted to 5 and went into the Dark World there, and went into Palace of Darkness with Kiki, which might be faster if your Kiki skip is slow, and if you happen to have enough rupees. But Kiki skip is definitely faster with perfect clipping, and then reloading the dungeon from there. So that's what I'm going to do here. And the flute sound didn't play there, did it? How about that? Had me worried for a second, but then I remembered that that happened when I was testing it, too. Oh yeah, here's a funny jump here that I found totally by accident a while ago. that jumps you to this ledge. It also lands you on the Y pixel for the zip, for the rail zip. So if you hold down left there, you zip for 2 frames, and then that lines you up with the door. And you walk right into it. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad that that actually ended up being a few frames faster than just using super speed there. If there was a way to uncharge the sword, or to not have it charged, that would have been brilliant. Oh yeah, Addy, do you? Oh, the silent flute. Yeah, that's. I guess it can happen. You know, whatever. Like, oh, and I have to take damage here. That was really awkward, but I need to do that for the YBA to work. I couldn't find a better way or better timing to do that. Use the kind of smart again there, obviously. Love this strat. It's funny. That strat is viable in real time, just not quite as, you know, perfect looking. I do like this room from the bottom, actually. It's actually way more consistent than doing it from the top. With the tempered sword especially. It's just like so easy, consistent. The strat in this room up here is not really good real time because it's inconsistent. Damage boosting through the turtles and then dashing through the second set of turtles. It has like a 50% chance to work in real time or something. Might be worth going for it if you like to gamble. Like a new Spark gamble, turtle gamble. I didn't manipulate the movement at all of Helmasaur, actually. Not at all, I just did the fight. I just tazzed it and moved on. Did poke dashes because they're neat. And some hammer dashes because, you know, why not? Oh wait, I said earlier when I got the Eastern Pendant that was the last time we used EG, but that's actually not true. We're actually going to use it to get to Aghanim. Because, of course, if you can do perfect stairs EG in the castle, you might as well. I think I just thought of another time saver in this run later on. I won't talk about it though. It's kind of weird. Oh, it comes with a lot of experimentation and studying stuff. This clip looks really funny when tazzed. It's pretty silly. When I do that in real time, I actually use the hammer to buffer the left and right movements, and select buffer to do the diagonal movements. I couldn't get hover to save time in this room. I tried, but I couldn't. I really wanted it to, but it didn't seem to. So that's too bad. If you could even see what was happening there, basically off screen. For Aghanim, obviously manipulating blue balls is the most important thing. Other than that, you just try to make his warps as short as possible, which actually was less painful than I expected it to be. It gets fixed, don't worry. Just like hitting him, make him warp to the top center, then hit him to the top right, and then he warps to the top right. And then hitting him back to the center, and then warps back to center. That's bar 5. It's pretty straightforward. And then, of course, had to do something while the lightning was going on, so I just did some weird out-of-bounds stuff. It's pretty neat. You can actually save a lot of time with good warps. I was surprised. The difference between a short warp and a long warp for Aghanim is like 20 or 30 frames or something. It's actually huge. Alright, this is the last long cutscene. I would have finished this like a week earlier if it wasn't for all the text mashing, because every time I got to a new cutscene I just like put down the controller and like did something else for a while until I felt like going through the really tedious text advancement. It's not really mashing. I just did single frame advances like Yuzuhara, because he's my hero. Of course. Yeah, basically. These clips that you would normally do a spin dash for in real time are still faster to do with single frame clips in Taz. Oh, and there's a couple boosts on those pillars you can't really see, but if you push yourself against them, you can get boosts out of. That strat was kind of forced because you can't slash a beetle when you have sword beam. You have to, like the beam will hit him, so I had to hit him with the beam and then dash into him. I mean, it still worked really well. It might have been the fastest way to do it. Either way, it was different from how I was doing it in real time, though. Some guy knocked out of bounds at Aghanim. I've never seen that. I've seen people throw boomerangs out of bounds. I don't know how that works. Oh no, I didn't use turbo at all. That's a boring fight, so I hovered a little. But there were actually frames of lag, so I actually fell when I was hovering. And I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to easily get back onto land. So after I fell, I just went straight back to land, and I was like, F that. Yeah, even on the pumping, I didn't even use turbo. I just did it frame by frame, which is totally ridiculous. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, that fight was obviously as straightforward as you'd expect it to be. Slash and spin. Oh, and sword beam in desert is like really good in the Popo rooms, because you can kill all of them basically before they even move. Even in real time you can do that. So like their RNG is basically irrelevant, which is very nice. I did get these arrows. And I also got the ones before Memolas. Yeah, that's like super easy. No unnecessary chest turns for me, because I'm anti-chest turn. Oh, and yeah, walking here ended up being a little faster with pumping. That's not too surprising though, actually. Like the first key in Palace of Darkness, you walk in that room. It's a very similar movement. Yeah, but you kill all those guys with just the beam. Very easy. I actually got same frames when I walked in this room compared to dashing, so I just stuck with walking because it was different. I tried a few different things in this room that were more interesting, but a little bit slower. Like I got one that was like 20 or 30 frames slower, but saved one use of the fire rod, but I couldn't quite justify it, unfortunately. And then of course it's just a boring one cycle almost, you know, whatever. Yeah, I'm not really about the chest turns because, like, physically, it's not possible for a human to save time with a chest turn. You can't, I mean, you don't save a frame with a chest turn if you're a human. It just doesn't happen. because you can't move your thumb across the D-pad where you need it to be in one frame, basically. I think. I don't know. And then people are losing like 30 seconds through an entire run with chess turns, and that really bothers me. I mean, I don't want to tell people how to play, you know. If you care more about swag than going fast, that's your choice. Of course. Manipulating the cannonballs here was a little bit harder than the other times because when you dash, you can't really adjust the movement slightly without losing frames to change RNG values at different times when it's called. So it was a little harder. I had to backtrack a little more to get good RNG there. This strat is totally cool. I really love that for some reason. Just killing those guys with the arrows. Yeah, I actually have no idea. I just heard that it's faster, so I just caught him as low as I could. We already got the key from here, so we just dashed through. Nice and easy. Oh wow, 8 frames, that's pretty significant. Sorry, don't worry, I'll make a VOD of it shortly. I needed those arrows. That's the only reason I killed that guy with the pot. Otherwise, I would have done that a little differently. Still worked pretty well though. I needed the arrows and to get 15 from these guys. Not even sure if this strat was great. Just kind of, you know, whatever. If you're tazzing Armos, you might as well just do it unusually. Yeah. When I did RTA, I stopped the timer at when I grabbed the heart container. And my PB was 139, so this is almost 30 minutes faster. Which is nice, but I decided to end at Triforce Room. Because that's neat. Yeah, it does feel a little faster, for sure. The thing about arrows is, and when you're fighting Armos, is you don't actually have to be like really close to them to fire arrows at frame perfect intervals. You can actually be a little bit away from them. So that was the main condition when I do those fights, is just to have as little time between arrow firing as possible, or to have 0 frames between them when that's viable. Like in Ice Armos, there was not a single frame between any firing of the arrows through the entire fight. It was all frame perfect, so the whole dancing around stuff was totally random. I just fired in whatever direction seemed optimal so that I could kill them all at a good time. And without putting any delays between arrows, it ended up being as fast as it could be, like it had to be, I guess, theoretically. There could have been lag and stuff, but don't care about that. Well, I do care about it, I just didn't think about it. For that other Armos fight, the regular Armos fight, that was basically the case. For killing the first 2, they both died like right away. And then you fire 1 arrow, and then the only real delay is when you're repositioning yourself after the arrow to the left. After that, every arrow is fired first frame, except for like 1, which I had to reposition myself a little bit, but whatever. It looked neat, I think, so that's the most important thing. And the movie file goes all the way through the credits. I decided that, I don't know why, I just decided I wanted it to play through the whole credits before it said movie end. Thanks guys. Yeah, this is the first like completed Taz I've ever done. I'm happy with it, to be honest, but like I see so many things wrong with it. I don't think I'll do something like this again for a while though. Originally I started this and I did like the first 40 or 50 seconds of the game, you know, counting the opening text. I did like 1 clip and that was it. And I was like, I'll just work on this a little bit at a time over the next, you know, who knows how long. And then I made some stupid mistake and had to start over, or basically start over. So I just started over anyway. And then I just worked hard on it like every day for like 2 weeks straight. So I put like probably at least 100 or 200 hours in this over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, just because I was working on it every day. Really, I've seen 4-frame difference for pickups under a pot. I was testing picking up a bomb at hammer jump, seeing where you had to pick up the pot, how low you had to pick it up to be guaranteed to pick up the bomb if you walk straight north after you pick it up. And I was getting 4-frame difference from frame rule. But I've also seen 8-frame for the big key in escape. According to the GodTaz notes, there's 8-frame interval where you'll pick that up with the boomerang or something. I don't know. I don't know a lot about frame rule. That's something that eludes me a little bit. I'll let the credits play and then I'll turn it off. Any questions about reverse boss order? Anybody interested in running this now? RTA? I may do it again someday, but probably not anytime soon. I'm working on this glitched 100% thing. Oh, now there's people here I can show this strat ideas, these really bad strat ideas that I have. When dashing to an item? That's interesting. I wonder if that could make a difference when the pendant, if you could actually dash at like a very specific frame and pixel like location to get at a frame earlier. Yeah, Andy said he was thinking about doing it. Jaden said the same thing too. Maybe it could be the SGDQ run. It's probably too boring. Well, it's slow paced with all the walking. You walk without boots for like an hour, or probably like 40 or 50 minutes if you actually play well. But like an hour for me, and that's kind of slow paced for a marathon. Who knows? Might be neat. I think Andy would be very good at it just because he clips well. That's a big part of it, is clipping well and not drinking potions in the YBAs. Plus he's done EG Ganon, which has the exact same way to get into Ganon with the YBA and then the pot clip. So he's already familiar with that. And doing the fight in this, like you have the option of having a fairy, hook shot, fire rod, not boots. The only other thing that might help that fight, but with all those items, it's basically a free fight if you're any good at it. I mean, even in my runs, I usually did it damageless, even though I suck. I mean, with the hook shot, that should be easy, but you know. Right. I think it was 4 games played, maybe. I don't remember. I have to go potty. I'm gonna go do that while the credits roll. I'll be right back. forgot to put input display on the stream. I meant to put that up. Actually, I was going to turn everything off, all the frame counter and stuff. But then I was like, no, I'll just turn it all on. And then I forgot to put the input display back on. I'll upload the SMV somewhere, I guess, if anybody cares. I wouldn't even know where. Like, where are people uploading files these days? Oh, Dropbox, that's the one. Yeah, I'll put it there. Zero. There weren't a lot of save and quits after the early game. After I got the flute, I pretty much just fluted everywhere. Just a couple early. There we go. Movie end. Sweet.